Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to episode 6 of Beyond Tech podcast. Today, I have a special guest with me. He is one of my colleagues in the company I'm working in right now. He's a brilliant engineer and someone who is amazing in navigating complex businesses. So, welcome Kamal to Beyond Tech podcast. Now I will let Kamal introduce himself for people who don't know him, and then we will proceed with discussion as usual. It's all yours.
Hi, Wissam. Thanks for having me, and thanks for
Kamal,
providing
sorry,
this
I can't hear
opportunity.
you. Can
No,
you hear
you,
me? Because
yeah, I can
maybe
hear
it's a
you.
problem in my audio. Okay, yes, it's a no, it's working
Can you
now.
hear
Can
me
you
now?
speak?
Yeah.
No, I okay. Can you go to the settings down? You will find it down so you can check your audio. Okay, now I hear you. Now I hear you. Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
I can remove
Maybe
this
I
in
have
the
to speak a bit louder, but I can do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, all clear.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Wissam, for having me. We've been speaking about this podcast for a while, and it's a nice opportunity to feature in this one to share my experiences with how tech, like how my experiences with tech was. And yeah, I'm working in Amazon, as you know, and I and Wissam work on the same team. We are working mostly with building new softwares for Amazon's retail website. And I started this journey in the IT industry back in 2016, but I was not formally trained in software. I studied electronics and communication, which has very little
Okay.
overlap.
We lost the sound, please. Sorry. We lost the sound again. Your sound is I don't
Okay,
know why.
let me go check it
Maybe
now.
the yeah, yeah, sure. Can you check? Maybe there is a switch. If you are connecting from your phone and your laptop, sometimes when you get a notification, it
Hmm.
interrupts the connection between your headphone.
Okay, probably that's the
If you
one.
yeah, 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 exactly.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
like I said, I wasn't formally trained in computer science. I started as an electronics and communication engineer. I went through the whole formal training in that one, and it has very little overlap with computer science. But I got an opportunity to work as an intern, writing programming code. I started as an intern, and that gave me an opportunity, and I got interested and started working on like it started with embedded coding, but it also transitioned into writing full-fledged programming. And then I joined a company back in Chennai. For those who don't know, I'm from India, and I studied and started my career in India. And I spent working on low level coding, more with C++, and a little bit of C sharp as well, and transition into full stack development. But most of my time back in India was building low level code, a bit on kernel drivers and stuff. And that's where I learned the basics of computer science, how compilers work, how file systems work, how operating systems work, and that gave me a lot of experience with performance optimizations and such. And over
Nice.
time, I wanted to learn on the more abstracted layers, like distributed systems, and where there's a lot of traffic handling systems, and so on. So I got an opportunity to
Your sound went again. Sorry, your sound
Okay.
went again. I don't know if it's.
Okay, I
I
don't know.
think
I don't
it's
know if something's wrong with
maybe
me.
maybe. Can you wait? Oh, maybe. Oh, I think not. Maybe it's mine. I'm so sorry. It seems like my okay. Maybe my headphone were connected. I completely disconnected from every device, other device. So you can continue. I'm
Ah,
so sorry for that.
okay.
Go
It's
ahead.
all right. It's all right. Yeah, I got an opportunity to work with Amazon and work with larger softwares and systems that handles with lots of traffic and so on. And now that since I had a lot of experience with writing low level code, this is a good opportunity for me to dabble on the bigger ones. And now here I am, and that's where I met Wissam, and we're working together now.
Nice. I'm really glad about your journey. I mean, it's fantastic to start from the like low levels, interacting with hardware, and then moving up until you go to the application layer. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to work with hardware most of the time, because I graduated from Faculty of Science, and we were missing this hardware part. We were like barely coding stuff, making some applications. But I mean, I read a lot, but like reading is not like practicing stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you so much for the intro about yourself. So I mean, let's move on to the discussion. So I mean, you mentioned that I mean, you started as a communication engineer and
Hmm.
electronics engineer. So I mean, how hard was it to, I mean, to go into software and teach yourself software? You know, to learn it on your own.
Mm. Um, I wouldn't say it was very difficult because you start with one, right? You start if the question is about programming language, I don't have to learn like 5 or 6 programming language to get into the industry. I only had to learn
Okay,
basics.
yeah, okay. There is
Uh,
something again. I mean, I believe there is something that is blocking your sound, but it's not on my side because I blocked everything that is connected. Can you check? I mean, are you speaking from from the laptop
yeah,
or
from the
from?
laptop. Yes, it
That's
shows
weird.
me that it detects my voice, so I think.
Uh, maybe it's on my side, but this is weird. Can I let me check this again?
Mhm.
Let me check. Maybe it's okay. Voice cancellation. This is very weird. Okay, I will mute my mic. Maybe my mic is interfering with your mic. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead. Sorry.
Uh, yeah. Okay. So what was the question again?
Yeah, sorry. No worries. I mean, I was asking you about how you started
Transitioning
teaching. Yeah,
into
exactly.
software. Yes.
Into software.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did learn C programming, C++ as part of my embedded training, and that helped me to get started on programming. So I did understand. I did learn some basics of programming, but not the the paradigm of object oriented or any or functional programming. I just know how programming work, how programs are transferred into hardware and stuff, right? So I did know a bit of programming, but I didn't have to learn a lot of programming languages to get into the industry. So it started with one. You start with one, and over time you learn it, right? The bigger aspect is not about learning programming languages, but how programs work and how you transition that into how you transition the problem solving skill into code that you get a solution out of it. So that's what you need to learn as part of the journey.
Yeah, I see your point here. I understand. I mean, everyone started by like understanding the syntax of the language and say, okay, I can do a for loop here. I can add an if statement, and then oh, I can combine these together, and it works. You know. And then okay, what about extracting this to a function? What about extracting this to a class, etc. So we go through the whole journey step by step. So I understand.
But
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you get started, you get a lot of opportunity to read a lot of code. Reading, I learned a lot more by reading code rather than writing code. So
Nice.
that was useful for me.
Yeah, I see. I mean, what do you think about the new people that is learning right now? I feel that we are lucky, very lucky actually, that we started before AI, because we had the opportunity to, how to say that, like to learn on our own base. You know, we were like building stuff. Yes, we were smashing our heads against the wall sometimes, but we learned it by, you know, by mistakes and everything. Right now, you can see that AI is providing every solution you want, a lot of stuff, and maybe some people think that, oh, we may be not needing to invest a lot of time into learning coding and to learning this stuff. I mean, actually, if I were, I mean, if I were one of these people, I would also think about it like, oh, should I invest a lot of time on coding, practicing coding my stuff, or should I get on high level about like how coding work, how stuff, and then jump right away into doing stuff? And I know that there is a minimal basic of stuff that you need to do, but what do you think about this actually in the era of AI?
Um, Based on my experiences, the challenges that the people who are joining new to the industry are facing is deciding on what to learn, and and probably they end up making the wrong choices. Starting with machine learning and AI and stuff, I don't think that's where you should start from. You start with something that is basic enough that you understand how the industry works, and then you move up the ladder to the higher abstracted stuff like the artificial intelligence. uh, and the motivation is also something that we need to question. uh, there I mean, I know of individuals who started with programming because they like bitcoin and they like artificial intelligence, but that's not something that you start your journey with programming in. That's not where you start with, right? You start with something that is more generic and then move up the ladder to higher abstracted ones. So that's something that's considering, and because the motivations is towards artificial intelligence, that's not you start with. So people have a lot of choices on what they want to learn, but it's also important that they need someone, or at least they could find a good mentor who can guide them through the journey. Since there's a lot of things to learn, it might be they can learn like 1% of like 10 different, 20 different stuff, and then not and then get confused on what they are doing. So it's a bit of a question on like, are they helping themselves with what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, it's even more distracting people right now, having a lot of AI tools, having a lot of AI platforms. It's like, it's even for us, like who people who are who navigated for years and understanding the basics at least. That, oh, should I learn this, or maybe it will be obsolete tomorrow? Should I invest more time in this direction or in that direction? That's why a lot of people right now are promoting being a generalist instead of being a specialist in something. We all need to balance. It's very hard actually, and uh, I feel bad about people who graduated recently, because I mean, no one expected that in 2 years everything will change completely. Since OpenAI announced ChatGPT 4, I believe it was 4, something like that. Everything changed. Everything. A lot of products started. A lot of companies started to do whatever, and also the layoff was hitting everywhere. So I mean, it's very hard for people. So let me take you to this question. So for me, how Kamal plan his week, months, whatever? So I mean, how do you do your planning normally? Like usually, in your okay. So you put a plan for the week, you put a plan for the months. I mean, I'm speaking even about like work plans and personal plans, because I saw a lot of people that have conflicts between both of them, but you are not, most of them, you're not one of these, like, not one of these people who have collisions between their work and personal
No,
life.
I don't have those right now, but I used to. When I started out, it wasn't easy to separate the work out of life part. But right now, work plan, the job that I have to do drives the plan. So on what I
Okay.
need to do, and the plan also depends on who you're working with and how many individuals that you're working with. Sometimes you're leading a project where you have to work with individuals and you have to manage their time as well. You have to understand how
Yes.
much capacity that they can provide you for that project, so you have to plan it accordingly as well. Sometimes you have to work with partner teams, sometimes you have to work with people who are not in your same time zone, so that affects. But in general, usually you don't, when you're planning for longer durations, you don't plan on exact dates or exact timelines. So you do plan for like exact time dates and times for the week, probably for the next week as well. But for longer durations, you have a general idea on where you have to be or what you want to get to that point, instead of doing an exact planning, because I don't think it will be useful. For example, me setting up the task or the meeting or anything that I want to do next week doesn't sorry next month doesn't make any sense to me at this point. I want to plan exactly what I want to do for this sprint, which would be 2 week in our case. But for longer durations, I think a general idea on the state that you want to reach, or I think that should be more than enough, and that's what I do as well. And when it comes to life, it's more of wing it, like do what feels good for you. I mean, unless you have something specific that you want to plan for, otherwise it's
Yeah, I
okay.
understand you. I mean, yeah, but what I wanted to say here is like, okay, I try to plan my week ahead, even in personal life. I'm not speaking about work. Sometimes in work, it depends on the environment. Like if you are working in startups, it's way different than if you are working in corp, because I mean, in startups, you have the whole team with you, maybe in the same place, maybe remotely, but you will. I mean, at the end of the day, you will all meet in one meeting, startup, and you will, or stand up as they call, and you will have a whole vision about everything that's happening in the product. And most of the time, if someone is blocked, he's blocking every. every other one, because sometimes it's one product, that we are working on. I'm working on back end part, you are working on front end part, and we sync together to connect uh, the two phases. So yeah, I understand that. But what I wanted to ask, like, okay, what is your advice for people who want to who is suffering from distraction, like who cannot focus on their personal stuff, who cannot focus even at work, who have the collision between both of things.
Depends on what kind of distraction. If it's distraction at work or distraction from things that are at work, like for example, it could be a large number of meetings that are like unevenly spaced between, or it could be interactions with their teammates. That could be something. Or at work, it could be they couldn't get a focused time because of distractions at work or the phone or anything. It all depends on the distraction, right? And if and I think that, I mean, understanding the question would help you with how you
Yeah,
deal.
I'll tell you. I mean, let's take it yeah, step by step. Like, what about work? Like, some people work in open areas, some people work
Mhm.
in like small offices, some people work big offices, some people work remotely, some people work hybrid. How do you manage your distractions most of the time? I mean,
It's okay. So
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
it's very personal, right? And for me, my biggest distraction is always my phone. So what I tend to do is I just switch off my phone, and then continue working. And also I have focus time planned. Like I block some of my hours in my calendar when I need to focus on certain things. And when I'm at the office, there's a lot of time that it's difficult for me to focus because I have to interact a lot with. Then there's a lot of ad hoc interactions that I have to do with the team. I have to I talk with the individual, I mean the other engineers that we have on our team, like pretty much throughout the day, which also affects my focus. But when I want to focus, when I have a plan to focus for a couple of hours to do certain things, I block my calendar. If I'm at the office, I even go to a meeting room or a phone room or something to block that out. So it's all on you, right? And
Yes.
it's not expected of you to be focused, or like get a focus time throughout the day, 8 hours. I don't think it's even possible. uh, yeah, so you spend some time towards it in days. For example, a 2 3 hour block makes sense. Or like once a week, you block 2 days, right? Like Tuesdays
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Thursday, afternoon I won't be available for any other communications. So something like that you can do. So that would actually help, instead of being planning to be focused throughout the week. It I would do like blocks rather than a whole week.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, this is something that's common between all the people I interviewed. Like, they do book specific slots on their calendar to focus. And I think also, like, some people use Pomodoro techniques. Like, like I use Pomodoro technique most of the time. Like, I make like 6 sessions. Every session is like 50 minutes, and I focus in those 50 minutes. Sometimes stuff interrupts you in the middle, but I mean, I'm trying to stick to the plan as much as possible. Because I cannot focus in distraction. So I put my headphones. I try to. I promise myself to focus only in those 50 minutes, and that's it. After those 50 minutes, I will completely be out of focus, and I will take like 10 minutes to to drink something, to speak to someone, and then get back to have a walk in the office, and then get back to my desk, start working again, and have the next 50 minutes and next 50, and so on. So yeah, I agree with you actually on
Sometimes
on that
it's
part.
not even easy to focus, even when you have a plan. Like even if you have a focus time, when you are secluded, when you are working on a closed environment with no distractions, even then it's not easy to focus. It's okay to not be able to focus, and then it's okay to leave it at that and then continue the next day instead of actually trying to force yourself into that. It's normal to get distracted by yourself, by your own mind. So it's
Yes.
absolutely normal to let it go, and then take you know get let yourself get distracted and get back to it. Get probably change of task, like do something else and come back to it. Take the task the next day, do it the next day. It's fine when you have to do that. It's it we need to understand that this is a job and you are
Makes
actually
sense.
working
Makes
to.
sense. Actually, I would like to highlight something here. Like, I mean, I did some stuff that is crazy. Like, I mean, in pressure times in companies, yeah, especially in startups, there was a time where I worked 3 consecutive days without sleep. Yeah, I'm not joking. It
Mm.
was through pandemic, and we were working on something that is, critical, and the company was financially unstable, and I felt that also again, I feel the guilt that we are in a bad situation, and I have to do my best to secure like navigating this situation. Okay, give me 1 second. Isa, we are recording here. Come,
Nice.
come, up, 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 up. Isa, Isa. راح عند ماما عشان بابا مع حد. يلا راح عند ماما يلا. عايزة ايه؟ عايزة ايه من هنا؟ عايزة ايه؟ ايه؟ عايزة النضارة؟ دي؟ دي؟ طب طب دي؟ يلا خد يلا يلا راح عند ماما يلا. راح عند ماما يلا بسرعة وريها لماما. ولا نضارة وقفل الباب. يلا في الباب وراك. روح. 1 second please. يلا روح وريها لماما. I'm sorry.
All
But
good.
it's like I worked for like 3 consecutive days, and I was like, yeah, killing myself at work. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's work. You don't have to sacrifice your life for work. You know what I mean? And I learned the lesson. I even hurt myself like physically, my neck, my body. And I mean, the more you put yourself in hard situations, the more you pressure yourself to work more, the more decline your mental model will be. Like, I mean, in those 3 days, yes, my focus in the first day was good, and then it started to decline. In the third day, you can see me as a zombie. Like, I am looking at the screen, I'm doing some stuff, I don't know even what I'm doing. Like, I'm ta 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 ta. I just want to finish this as fast as possible because I feel the responsibility and ownership that I need to finish this. But I don't have to sacrifice myself again to to make the company survive. I mean, the company, if the company is meant to close, it will close. Even if I stayed working for a continuous months, a continuous year, whatever. This is one of the lessons that I learned. Yes, sometimes I forget about this, and I immerse myself in work and do overwork, but I'm able now to pull myself quickly and say, okay, no, that's enough is enough. I will start fresh again, and I did my best. That's it. What is in my control is what is my control. Everything else, I don't control it, so it's okay. And I believe this is an important message, and thank you for highlighting this because, like, when we are younger, we try to think, and we think like the biases in our minds like start to say, oh, you are responsible of this, you can do it, but you have to stop at certain level. Otherwise, you are hurting yourself. You are hurting your relationships with your friends, your relationships with your family, your relationships with everything around you, your relationships with yourself, because you are hurting your true self inside. So it's a big thing that people need to think about. Like work is a part of your life. It's not you. You is you plus work. If we removed work, you will still be you. I mean, you will be still valuable. You will still be valuable to your family, to your friends, to everyone around you. Otherwise, there is a problem in your relationship with people around you. And this is something I learned through years of, like, again, overthinking, overworking, doing all those stuff.
Yeah,
And this.
I've been doing that like in the past as well. And when I think about it, when I spend time trying to get out of that phase, I realize that it comes from two different aspects. One is guilt, and
Yes.
the other one is that you have a sense of ownership. I mean, the guilt comes from the fact that you did provide a commitment to a certain level. It's on you to achieve that. So even if you haven't, like for example, let's take an example, right? You said that you would get something done in 2 weeks, and over time something happens, right? You get a blocker, something fails, even though most of it are not really, I mean, uh, is external factors. Since you have that commitment, you get to spend time over time working on it. Towards the end of the timeline, a bit of procrastination involved as well, and then at the end you realize that you have to spend after hours sitting in it through the weekend to get to achieve that. So this happens a lot in the industry. But what I learned is that all the company expects of you is to provide a call out saying that you probably need 1 more week to get it done, instead of actually powering yourself through it. So
Makes sense.
yeah, take care of yourself, and then it takes care of itself.
And I believe that people take this personally. Like people think that okay, I'm in control, and I can control everything. And no, you are not in control. You are doing your best. And even if you, I mean, as you mentioned, like sometimes you need to highlight this to raise a flag and say, okay, guys, I have a problem here, and sometimes they will accept it, sometimes not. But in either cases, it's not in you. I mean, it's not in your control. You are highlighting this if they want to. Okay, if the company decided to fire you, they will fire you. I mean, it's okay, and it's totally okay. It's not the problem. Is not you. The problem is that okay, it's you were unlucky. You know what I mean?
I
You were
wouldn't say it
unlucky.
is totally okay, because that comes from a case of privilege. If it's okay for you, that means you're privileged. If Because there are like a lot of engineers in the industry who are not privileged enough to get fired, especially in the market right now when it's very difficult to find. Because I'm coming from India, where there's a lot of engineers, a lot of tech engineers who are unemployed. So losing your job is
No,
not
no,
a
no, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't mean that like being fired is okay. No, no, no. I mean, you did what you can do. I mean, like you did the investigation, you did the thing, you did your best, and then, I mean, if all this ended to a situation, I mean, the hardest situation ever is being like laid off or something like that. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's okay for you as a person to move on, to go into, don't stop here and say okay, what, oh, I could do more, I could pass the situation. No, I mean, sometimes you have to admit that okay, you were unlucky, the situation was out of your control, it's not on you, it's not, again, on you, it's not on you, but you have to move on, you have to think positively, you have to think optimistically about the future. Otherwise you will stay where you are. And I completely understand, like I have my daughter, I have my wife, like I cannot how I cannot afford losing my job. And that, like in the era of AI and the era of layoffs that we have everywhere, like it's very hard now to, or not very hard. Yeah, there is a little bit improvement maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not
Uh,
gonna,
the,
but
the 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 part where you mentioned that I have done everything, I think that's one of the. I mean, that's why people tend to invest themselves into the job, put too much effort into it, overtime, work overtime, and through the weekends, because people try to put everything they have into the job, because it's a bit of a fear as well to not lose a job if they are not actually doing well. But more so in the sense that in India we do have a saying that actually means that your job is God. So we do have
okay.
this tradition or culture where people tend to worship their
Their work,
tools,
their profession.
their work. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we even have a public holiday where they have a ritual towards their tools. So job in general is like when you are, so they have their tools for their job, right? So they usually have a ritual where they with their tools. So it's more of a, so it's been a long tradition where job has been seen, the your work, it's not a job, but your work is seen as something that is sacred. So people put themselves through everything that they have for their work. So it's a cultural thing as well. So it's not
Yes,
just
yes.
something like I have my job, I do it, and then I go home, I totally forget it. And it's not as easy as we say, because we work on an environment where it's a 9 to 5 job, and after we work, we have our own life. And it's not the same for everyone.
Yes, I mean, I agree, but I mean, we have the same concept in Egypt. Like, people used to like define themselves by their work. Like, okay, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. Like, and we were discussing this yesterday, actually, in the live that we have. Like, people tend to think that if someone is an engineer, if he's a doctor, he if he's working in a one of the fancy jobs, he is, or it's not even fancy anymore, but I mean one of the highly recommended jobs, he knows everything about everything, not only about his work. Like if I'm an engineer, I may be good at coding, I may be good at making functions, making classes, connecting things, components together, but in real life I suck. I don't know what to do, I don't know how to deal with people, I don't know how to navigate my life, I don't know how to do whatever with my family, with my friends. I may give you a very very bad advice, you know, in life in general. So it doesn't mean that you know everything. And this is something that I'm trying even to highlight more with every guest I have in my podcast. Like, guys, like, don't look at one aspect and generalize it on all other aspects. Like, he may be good at something and he may be like bad at something. So don't even over position people, anyone in your life, because I fell into that trap before, like, oh, he's a good engineer, so maybe he's a good person, he's a good like, you know, he's a good mentor, he's a good lecturer, he's a good husband, he's a good father, he's a good brother. No, it's not like that. And everyone, and it's normal, we are humans at the end of the day. Like, we have some good stuff, we have some bad stuff, but for me at least, this is my golden rule for myself. Like, you have to be good, you know. There is a level that if I'm above this level in my relationship with people, I'm good. And good for me is enough. I don't have to be perfect, because I was seeking perfect in the past, and I lost myself in the ocean of of, you know, everything I do. So yeah, I totally understand you. So yeah, I mean, let me ask you this also other question, because uh yeah, maybe prioritization. I mean, how do you prioritize your stuff? Like, you know, we have a lot of stuff that jumping in from time to time, and we have some stuff that we say, okay, this is important, this is yeah, this is important, but sometimes you have multiple stuff that you want to do, even let's say personally and inside work, and then you find that, oh, things are colliding together. So what, how do you prioritize your work, your personal life in general, you know what I mean?
Hmm. It's a very abstract question, but how would I answer that? Mostly in terms of when you need it, right? A need by date. We use this term quite often, the need by date. We use that term to signify when you need certain things done. So sometimes that's not a good approach, in my opinion, because sometimes these are the reasons that tech debt stay in not fixed forever, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, you don't certain things would be nice to have, but it's not a necessary, so the need by date would be pretty long into the future and you end up not doing it. So prioritization is when the way I do it is I do have a weekly to-do list and a daily to-do list, or at least it's not a to-do list, it's more of a list that things that I want to do on that day, and I order it in terms of what I want to do first, or what I want to complete it before something else. So that's something that I review every day, take a look at it, like these are the things that I want to do today, or these are things I want to get it done by the end of the week. And I do have a weekly one. I also have a backlog where I can just pull things into, and these are personal one. The reason I started with that approach, I don't know if that's the best approach, but the reason I do that approach is something that it aligns with what we do at work as well. We do the same thing for the team. If it
Yeah.
works for a whole team, it should definitely work for an individual as well, right? So I do have my own backlog, I do have my own list of things that I want to do, and I just break it down and then put it onto it and then work on it. Because for a long time I was always having issues with trouble with contending context switching, like contending with multiple things to work on. You are working on something, then you have to suddenly jump into something else, and you get like you get a text from your your colleague asking for a question or something. So things like that happen all the time. So most of the time what I'm trying to do now is that add everything to the queue and then see like, what you want to do next.
Nice, nice. I mean,
This
I do similar.
helps me with context switching as well. It helps me with focusing on one thing. It helps me like to decide when to switch from one thing to another one. Because if you are not prioritizing it properly, you end up jumping between one and the other without getting to a checkpoint on a certain thing, and it's not it you would be very less efficient that way.
Okay, nice. Actually, I'm losing your sound from time to time. I don't know why. It keeps work. It keeps happening from like from time to time. I don't know. It's like periodically. Do you have something that's working in background or something, like, you know,
No, no,
in your?
no,
No.
no, no, no
Okay.
noise
I
whatsoever.
I don't know. This is weird. I mean, I hope that
I keep
it's
checking
not.
the settings and it keeps detecting it. My
Yeah, yeah. It's
voice.
weird. I know. No, I know. Me too. I mean, my headphone also is working fine. That's why it's very weird. But I hope that at the end of the session, and we will have it, like, you
Yeah,
know,
we
we
will
will
have
have it.
the right one.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I don't want to interrupt you. I let you continue,
Mhm.
and then we can have it at the
Okay,
end of the
sure,
session.
sure.
So yeah, I mean, so how do you? Okay, let me ask you also this question because this is important. These are the stuff that I'm very much interested in. Like, how do you reflect on your achievements from time to time? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, because I lost my compass in multiple times, and this is normal. Again, we are humans. We do some good stuff, and then we emerge in something, and then we lose interest, and then we, oh, I'm not doing anything, and then we go into the deep, you know, deep lose of interest or deep depression. I don't want to say depression, but anyway, an anxiety of the things that we do. And again, we have something that is optimistic that we like. We start working on it again, and the curve starts to again to rise up, and you start and so on. So how do you reflect on your achievements from time to time, like maybe every 6 months, maybe if you at the end of
I'm not
every
even
year?
sure if I do that, but one thing that I do is every year, but not every 6 months. Every year I update my resume so that
Mm-hmm.
at least I recollect on what are the things that I have done and I'm proud of. And I think that's the only thing that I do. But other than that, I'm not exactly sure if I even recollect my achievements. Uh,
Okay, okay. Because I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to like highlight this because I also not doing it. I mean, I used not to do it on a regular basis, but right now I'm trying to do it regularly, like every 3 months or every even every 6 months, because I want to understand what I lose and what I gain, by time by time passing. And I mean, it's useful for me, at least. It's useful because I most of the time when I am distracted, when I'm not seeing what I do in the future, when I don't have at least a flexible plan, I don't know what I wanted to. Oh, let's say that I wanted to read 3 books, okay, and learn one new language and blah blah blah. I put the plan, and then if I didn't reflect on it, if I don't reflect on it in the future, I don't know I mean, okay, what did I plan at the beginning, and what did I achieve, and how is my progress? That's how I measure it right now. And it's working for me because I'm easily distracted person. Anything can distract me, so I'm trying to use this as my guide to keep focusing on the stuff that really matters for me. So yeah, and I mean, I ask you an abstract question. This is an abstract question that I have never asked, and I wanted to ask to every guest here that came to my podcast. So, how do you think about, or what is your opinion about the good engineer from your point of view? Like the engineer that you love to work with, or the person that you love to work with. What are the characteristics that you aim for? Let's say
hmm.
that you are an interviewer, interviewing people, okay, and you are looking for someone to work with. What are let's say, and also let's say that he is like early career or mid career, like mid. He's not a senior. He's like like mid engineer, mid level engineer, or an early engineer, because most of the people who are in these levels like miss what it is to be a good engineer. They are looking for it, I mean.
Yeah, something that I used to always look for when I was doing interviewing is we use the term called coachability. But
Okay.
at the end of the day, it means that are they capable of learning anything? The expectation is that if they have to jump into something new, would they be able to grasp it quickly, adapt into the situation, and learn new stuff before they can start working on, or they need external support to get started, right? That's something that's primary. That's something that we always look for. How they
Okay.
adapt into new tasks, new systems, and so on. So that's a primary thing, and also some of the other things, minor ones that we look for is someone who has good communication. Communication is primary for the job that we do. Even though we sit alone and write code, without proper communication, it would be very difficult for us to move it forward, move the whole segment in the right direction. Communication is also an important aspect, and I also look for empathy. And if an engineer lacks empathy, they would be very difficult to work with.
Yes,
And
totally agree. I totally agree with you on this.
these are the three things that I usually look for when doing interviews, and also when I'm working with individuals. And usually when they are good at all these three, it's always a very good experience working with such engineers.
Nice. So you are looking for someone that is autonomous, like he is self-autonomous. He can tackle obstacles. He can think
Not
about them.
necessarily, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be autonomous. Like you work on this, like take your time, tell me when it's done. That's it. No, it's not. It's that's not how it should be.
Okay.
That's not what I'm expecting. It's more about. someone who has the capacity to learn. It doesn't have to be that they do it all on their own. It's just that they don't we don't have to. But it won't be also good when you have to sit down, take the whole class on, right? You want them to
Yes,
learn on
yes.
their own as well, but we also want them to raise concerns when something is not as expected. So it's, and also since I also mentioned about communication, it has to be both ways.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, when I say autonomous, I mean I'm not saying fully autonomous. Like no, I just want to say that okay, there is certain level of like automicity. I don't know how to say that, but that I mean, that you can take stuff on your own and you can do some deep diving. You can extract some useful information, and we can. And for sure, it depends also on your level. Like if you are in early
Mhm.
career, you can have a lot of help. It's okay. If you are an intern, I mean, you can ask whatever question you want to ask. You can have whatever help you need because this is you are in the position where you are here to get help from people actually to learn. I mean, the more you go up, the less it should be the less help you need. But still, in early career, you can have help, and this is something that I see people are afraid of having. And I was one of those people who don't speak a lot. Like I was trying to finish everything that I have, every challenge on my own, and that was like catastrophic on me because I can spend a lot of hours chasing something that if I ask someone, he would give me the answer very, very quickly, and it's even not bothering him. Okay, I know this, I know that, I know that, and he can unblock you. Like you can spend a whole day, but you can unblock yourself by asking one question to someone who can reply in 3 minutes, or let's say 2 minutes, and you can have you unblock the day, and the most useful resource that we have that we all have is time, either inside work or outside work. So why to bother investing like enormous amount of time on something that someone else can help you with? And I'm not saying completely, I'm not saying that okay, go and ask all the questions, like bother people with questions, but there is again, everything have a certain level. If you didn't exceed this level, everything is okay. If you are over indexing with this, like bothering people, and you will see it, people will start to push back. They say, okay, can you please like talk to me in this time? I'm not available right now. Like they will say it, to you, and you can notice that okay, now you are over indexing in this. You are taking more than you are supposed to ask. So maybe you need to step back and think about the thing you do. Take more time investing in it, and then if you are blocked after some time again, try to do another being, and that's it for me at least. Yeah, I totally agree with you on everything, and I think that these three
Yeah,
characteristics
in
are
Amazon
very
we do have this mechanism where when you start your research, when you're past the 30-minute mark or even 1 hour mark, and you are just still unblocked, that's when you reach out. So that makes fair, right? You also spend enough time doing your own research, and but also you're not bombarding someone with questions because you have already done the research. And also it's only fair to the person who is receiving the question to know that you have done your research and then you have come to me for that question,
yes,
right? Otherwise you would it I mean, the person who is receiving the question would not feel good, like,
yeah,
no, I'm just here to share information. You do your research and you get to the point where you reach a dead end, and then I'm here to help you unblock. That's why we use the term unblock rather than someone who has all the knowledge and we go to.
yes, I
The
totally
reason
agree,
we
and
use
also
unblock is that you are in your own journey of your research, and when you hit a point where you are blocked, and the person comes to unblock you.
yeah, and also like I mean, this is something I learned with time. Like you have to give the full context. You have to not full. You have to give a good context to the person that you are asking about something. Like
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
maybe he is on another island thinking about a lot other stuff, and you are going to him asking him a question. Try to give him the steps that you take. Like okay, I'm working on this. I'm from this team. I'm working on this. I did this and this is the result of my work, and now I'm blocked on this problem. Quickly, like in like 3 4 5 whatever, it depends on the context too, but 4 or 5 sentences give him the whole context. He can read them. Okay, okay, yeah, you are blocked because of that, and if he can help, he will help. If not, he will maybe he send you to someone else, or he said that I don't have any context around this. But at least don't go and say, okay, hello XYZ, like I'd like to ask you about this, and he start to say like, hello, who are you? What is the topic, what is this? And he don't know anything, and you start to say, he ask a question, you give an answer, he ask a question, you give an answer. No, give try to give a full context, and that's how you help people. Oops, to save time. Sorry, to save time, and help yourself to save time too.
Yeah,
So
it reminds me of the XY problem, right? You need X so that you can solve Y. You don't start with X, you start with Y. You provide the context on what you need, why you need it, before you go with the X, because the person might lead you in a direction that might not help you to get your answer. You muted.
sorry, my daughter is playing here, and I'm trying to avoid the distraction. I
Yeah,
said, 1 second.
this
I said,
time.
I said, go to mama, go to mom, mommy, go to mommy. Yeah. I said, راح ماما يلا. I said, عشان بابا بيشتغل. Oops, oops, oops. I mean, she don't want to listen to me. I said, روحي خلي ماما تجيب لك مصاصة يلا. بقى ماما في الجاكيت بتاع بابا في مصاصة، اتخليت تجيبها لي. أب 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 يلا قولها في الجاكيت بتاع بابا. 1 second, just 1 second. Yeah, we can. ايه ماما هتجيب لك، اهي ماما هتجيبها لك، استنى. ايه في الباب، في الباب. يلا عدي ابني خلاص، عدي عدي، مفيش حاجه، عدي عدي، مش حدش هيشوف، عدي خلاص. سوري.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry bro, like
You go ahead.
it's weird that like she don't want to listen to me, but anyway, I was about to have her live yesterday with me on the podcast because I didn't know what to do with her. So yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's speak, yeah, but like let's get back to like fallacies and strongly opinionated people. How can we deal with people who have fallacies or have strong opinions about their stuff, and sometimes you are in a place where the other person has a strong control over the situation more than you. How do you navigate these situations? I mean, when you
I
have a
don't think I
conflict.
understand the question.
I'll tell
Can you
you.
be clear?
Yeah, what I mean, when you have a discussion with someone who is strongly opinionated about his idea or her idea, you know what I mean? How usually you navigate this situation? You are speaking about business people, you are speaking with technical people, whoever you are dealing with. Sometimes you have, let's say that you are working on something, a design, that this is a common thing that we have, a design that you are working on, and there is some engineers in our one engineer in a higher level that is okay. He is insisting on something, and you see that, oh, this is something that I disagree with, and I see that it's not the best thing or the best practice in this situation. How do you navigate these situations? I'm not speaking only on business. Oh, sorry, on technical side, on business side, on technical side, on whatever
Yeah, you take
perspective.
the opinion out of it and deal with the facts. That's the only approach that works for me, because opinion, we are in the industry where it's opinion shouldn't be the one that drives decisions. I do it because I think this is the best thing to do. I don't think that's the approach should be. It should be on why something is better. If you think that's the right approach, we talk about, the reason we have design reviews, or any of those discussions that we have, is especially that we discuss on why certain opinions are better. Of course, everyone is opinionated sometimes. I think, based on your question, the way I understand it is that, how do you deal with stronger voices in certain discussions, right?
Yes, maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
some
if
people dominate the discussion, they dominate the whole discussion and they don't give you
okay,
the
if you
chance
okay.
to say your opinion.
Okay, now I understand the question much better. In that case, I think it's the reason that you might not have a higher voice could be because you are a bit lower on your confidence. that you don't trust your knowledge enough for you to voice your opinion. That's something that I have seen, or something I have felt as well. I share my opinion when I believe in my opinion, right? But it's not always the case. I have seen people where they voice their opinion even if they, it's by nature. So over what, I'm not exactly sure if there is a specific way you can deal with it, but what has worked for me is that sometimes you might have to take discussions offline. Sometimes you have to direct, raise your voice and direct the discussion in a certain way, if especially if you are driving it. And at the end of the day, if it's something that you have to make the decision, you use that opinion, and then use make the decision. It I think, instead of talking abstract, let's use examples, right? Like you mentioned, since we use the example of design reviews, we can use that as well. Let's say, for example, during the design review you get feedback, or during the meeting you get the feedback from someone based on their opinion, and someone who is a bit dominating, the sense that they raise their concern, like, or voice, or they provide feedback pretty much on every chance they get, if that's what you meant. How do you deal with that? But if it's something that you have to make a decision out of, you take that feedback, right? You take that opinion into the decision making process, not because from who it came from, but more on that it is something that you should take into account, and then make a decision on your own. At the end of the day, it's you who are going to make a decision. So take the people out of the conversation. Just think about what the feedback or opinion is, instead of where it is coming from, because we tend to do that, right? If a senior
Yes.
engineer, if your principal engineer provides a feedback, we'll say like, okay, I'm going to take that feedback, or I'm going to go with that approach because it came from a principal engineer. But it's a bit beyond that. We have to take the whole context into play, like why they have the opinion. If you need further communication, if you need to contact them further to understand where the opinion comes from, why they think that a specific approach would probably be better, we can go with that. We can continue the discussion offline, probably after the meeting, and then go on. So what I have what worked for me is that I don't make a decision that I don't believe in, or I don't go with a certain approach that I don't believe in. So if you sometimes you might have to do further digging. Sometimes you have to talk to them, after the meeting or something like that. But as you dig further, either you get convinced that they are right, or they get convinced you're.
Yes.
At least one thing has to happen before you make a decision. What I'm
Yes.
trying to say is that don't convince yours don't make a decision and then without getting convinced by them through
Yeah, yeah,
fact.
yeah, I see. Yeah, and sometimes people lose like confidence, self-confidence, because they think that because the other person is in a higher position, he knows more. Yes, he have more experience, but maybe based on the context, based on the project that you are working on, you know more because you invested more time than him in this, and see you see something that, oh, this is maybe that not the right thing. And sometimes you know the reason, you know the right answer. You can like confront the other person with some good data points, but because you cannot represent your data points in a good way, you cannot represent, oh, there is a problem here, but you cannot spot the problem in the right way for the other person to convince him. That's why sometimes we lose, you know like the discussion sometimes
You can always
we
go back to it. You can always go back to it. You can
Mhm.
say that I do have data points that I want to share against your opinion, but I don't
Yes,
have it right now. Maybe I can send it to you after the meeting, something
that's a
like
good
that.
one. That's a good one. I
Simple as
like
that.
that. I like that. Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like
Because you
like
speak at the end of the day, it's a bit of hypocritical for you to not get convinced but portray saying that, okay, I agree. That is not going to help you both in terms of your career or in your mental aspect as well, because you're actually doing something that you don't actually believe in, which I think won't help you in the long run.
Yeah, I mean sometimes you disagree and commit, like we have this principle in Amazon especially, and you don't like you disagree, but you see that okay, he have maybe he have better vision, he have more experience, but I mean it's not always 100% like that. Sometimes you will have something that is valuable, or you have you are right in what you think, and you only need, like you only need that you trust yourself more, you know to be able to express your ideas and tell the other person on the other end, okay, now no, I think I'm right, I think this is the data, I think that unless you can, like, prove the opposite, I'm right on what I'm saying. And it's okay because if the other person having empathy if you have a good communication skills, he will listen to you attentively. He will pursue, he will promote understanding, and he will promote searching more, deep diving. He may say that, okay, I don't have time now, but I will look at it and get back to you. The same way that you are in lower level doing to promote
And
your
there's one
ideas.
more thing as well. You only get their opinion. But what if it is also backed by data? So it's always good to continue the communication. To extend the communication in terms of showing your data that you have, trying to get what they have as well, what the data that they have as well, and then collaborate with each other to understand what the right thing to do is, rather than taking it on a personal level. Taking the person out of the whole conversation is the right way to go forward.
Yes, yes, I understand you. I understand. Totally agree with you. Uh, yes, I have also another question here that is important, and I suffered from this a lot. How to deal with remote teams? Like if we are working with multiple teams in different time zones and different blah blah blah. Sometimes we are blocked and sometimes not, but most of the time you have to, like, how to say that, expect or have a better vision for the future to understand, okay, they are gonna block me in this thing, so I need to be prepared when this time comes in. Otherwise, all your plans fail. you know? And I know that this is not an easy question, and it depends also a lot on the environment where you work. But I mean, it's very hard, and one of the toughest stuff is to get the information that you need from remote team. So, what are your advice in this? I mean, I don't look for something specific. Only what do you recommend working with this?
Usually when you start working on a project with partner teams across time zones, one thing that helps me is to have good working relationships with them.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
start
I
with
know.
that. You get to a point where they are comfortable working with you, and you want to be in a situation where when you send a text message to them or set up a meeting, they don't feel irritated.
Okay.
They should be like happy to see you. They should be happy to read your text. That so try to spend some time to set up good working relationships, and then the communication, then everything else would follow, would be a bit easier. And it's also, you have to respect their time. You have to respect that they're
Sure.
there. If they are they doing you a favor, or it is part of their job as well, or are we working together on something, or they are helping you on the things that you do. So these are things that actually help you. Let's assume that both teams are like, you have a partner team across time zone, probably in the US, and you're working towards a common goal. In that case, there are mechanisms from both teams to work together. That should be a fairly easier way to deal with. But in case of situation where you are working on something and you need help, or you need support from a partner team where there is no agreed upon goal, joint goal, where the for the thing that you're working on, it's something that's specific to you or your team. In that case, they don't even have obligation to spend time for you, right? They
Yes, yes,
don't
I
have to
understand you.
respond to your text. They don't even have to accept your mail. So in that case, that's the most difficult part. That's where you need to set up good working relationships. That's where you have to work with your manager, or any other stakeholder involved, to understand that there is a partner team that you have to work with to set up good working relationships with. And it might have to go through escalations if necessary. And that's a difficult approach. When there is a joint goal, it's usually that both the team wants to work together, they have a reason to work together. So in that aspect, it's easier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see, I see. Thank you so much. Yeah, I understand your point, and I think all these are valid points that can help people because this is one of the most hard situations when you have something critical, and yeah, maybe it's critical for you, but it's not critical for the other team, so they are not prioritizing it. But you have to find some ways, and you highlighted some good points, a lot of good points actually, that can help you to get to the people, like have a good relationship with them, like try to be clear in your communication, try to ping them from time to time, put plans, highlight for them that the importance of the stuff, like, okay, guys, by this time I need you to be to have this thing ready for me because otherwise I will be blocked. And this, like, try to highlight the consequences of not having your stuff from their side, and that's by that maybe they will start to, okay, we will prioritize your stuff over other stuff because you give us a good context. Everything depends on the amount of information you give the other person that make him feel how to say that, the criticality of what you are working on, and that makes sense for me.
We have to
So
also take into
yeah,
account that you have to respect their time,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you have
sure.
to understand that they have their own priorities, they have their own things that they have to do at the end of the day. So also respect their time, and if you want to set up meetings much earlier, like a week or two earlier. And if you want to have communication, sometimes go through the formal channels rather than going through Slack, because they actually helping you spending time with you, or getting through probably doing some research for you. It's they are taking their own time out of something else that they would, that probably would benefit them or their team, right? So go through
Yes,
the official channels, make sure that they get the recognition for actually doing it for you. Provide kudos to them through official channels. So some of the things that you can do to give back that they have.
yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. I understand. Like appreciation for the work that they do for you, because they are helping you in your stuff. So yeah, totally agree with that. So let me ask you this: yeah, like in the era of AI, like what are the tools that you think are useful, or you want to or you even use, or you want to try in the future? Like, we are now in the era where we have a lot of stuff like ChatGPT, like Claude AI, like Claude Sonnet or whatever. We have a lot of sort of like Midjourney for images, a lot of tools for music, blah blah blah. Are you interested in any kind of this stuff, or
Not yet. The only thing that I have used AI for is for data analysis. So
okay?
I do have a bunch of data. I do have a query result, and I provide it to AI, and then it helps me provide, it takes insights out of it, provide summaries and stuff like that. I use it for data visualization to get graphs out of it, and also when I have graphs, I used to get insights out of it. So these are the things that I do, that I have used it for. And in general, I also used it for doc writing and stuff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but not into generative AI. I haven't dabbled into the Gen AI where I have to generate stuff, but more of I like tools, the tools that I use to help me do my job better rather than build something new.
Yeah, maybe in the future we will have you again, and
Mhm.
by that time yeah, you will have tried a lot of stuff, and you will come here and say, okay, I have this and this and this, and I would like to
Hopefully, yeah.
recommend this.
Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. And also, like, let me ask you this. Like, there was something I wanted to say, but I forgot about it. Yeah, 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 exactly. The most important question in the podcast, like, okay, what are the resources that you would recommend for people, like books, podcasts, blogs, whatever you want, something that you feel that, okay, let's start with books. Like, what are the books that you see that they did a really change in your life? Like, okay, this book give me a perspective about life that I've never thought about before, or a book that is technically in a technical level, like, okay, this book technically take me to the next level, or enhanced some stuff. Whatever you want to give, it's okay. It's all open. We are
Hmm.
open for all options: books, podcasts, courses, whatever you want. Something that you are providing for people because that you think that this is like something that you feel that it's important that you would like everyone to learn. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Interesting question. I do have to think before I answer
Yes,
it.
take your time. I mean, it's okay. I mean, take your time. You can think about one by one, like books. Like, think about the books that you read in the past. If there is no book that you would like to recommend, it's okay. We can pass to that one. But
In terms of tech, there's one book that I actually loved reading, and it's a book by Martin Fowler on refactoring. I can send you
okay,
the link later. I don't like. I'm not good with names. I don't even remember. But it has the word refactoring in its title, and
I
it
know
does.
it. I know the book. It's amazing. I know that
That's
book.
something that I really like, because that I read the book during the start of my career when I was having to deal with a lot of legacy
Yeah.
codes, and that was actually a good one that I would recommend. And I don't read a lot of tech books specifically for the reason that I do think that over time through your work you get a lot of experiences, and sometimes the books might be specific to a certain set of people, or my journey might probably not align with that. So I do have my
Uh,
own journey. It doesn't have to be dictated by through a book. So I am not usually someone who reads tech books. I do my own
okay.
research on certain topics on when I want to do it. So mm, I the books that I usually read are more towards like non-fictional psychology psychological books. I did read crime and punishment
Nice.
recently, so that's not something that I would recommend. But
No, no, I mean, whatever books you would like to recommend. I mean, any book that you think that it will help people to understand life, understand themselves, understand things around them more. That's what I'm looking for. Not even technical, and that's why I don't stick to technical books. Or
Hmm.
even blogs. Or even podcasts or whatever. That's what I
Okay.
wanted to say.
Okay, so to start with, I would like if there's one book that I would recommend, it's the book. Let me see. Let me try to find the.
Sure, sure, sure. You can search the name, and I will add it. Like I found the other one, refactoring, improving the design of existing code by Martin Fowler. I will add it to the notes. To the description after we finish. So that's okay. Uh,
Okay. I mean, this is probably one of the book that everyone has have already read, if in school probably. But the title of the book is "How to Win Friends and Influence People." This is a very common book. I can send you the link if you want, by Dale Carnegie. It's not
uh,
it's a big one; it's a tiny one. And this,
what is the name? Sorry, I lost your sound again. What is the name of the
okay,
book?
the title of the book is "How to Win Friends and Influence People."
Oh yeah, yeah. I know about this book. This is amazing book. Someone also recommended to me before, not in the podcast, but before, and it's on my list.
It teaches you a lot about empathy and how people think
How
and
to how to win people, how to sorry, how to influence people and make friends. Yeah, something like that.
how to win friends and influence people.
Okay, influence. Okay. Any other books or something like that?
No, nothing at the moment.
Okay, yeah, sure, sure. I mean, if you want to add anything, any more thing, you can reach out to me and we can add it to the podcast. I mean, we exceeded an hour. And I
Hmm.
think we covered a lot of stuff. I'm still having a lot of talks about learning methodology, about like writing skills, about hobbies, about philosophy, stoicism. If you would like to talk about this in the future, but I mean, I think this is enough for the first episode with you, and also to let you rest. We are in a weekend, and you need
Yeah.
some rest. So thank you so much, Kamal, for
It's,
being with me today. It's an honor for me to be with you, actually,
yeah. You've always
and
had this conversation like this throughout day-to-day work, but having it in a formal setting actually makes it much more fun. Thanks for having.
yeah, yeah, no, no worries. I mean, thank you so much. And for sure, in the future, we will have you again with us here. I am Wissam Mustafa, and this is Beyond Tech Podcast, episode 6. Thank you so much for continuing this to the end, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.